Hey everybody, welcome back to my podcast and to my channel. I'm your host. My name is Adele Skinner. I am a feminine energy and inner work coach. Basically, I have the best job in the world. I get to work with women and help them create their dream life. I help them reconnect to their feminine energy. I help them to do the inner work that it takes to help them to really break out and to become the dream woman that they want to be. I love what I do. I love my job. So today, in today's episode, we are going to be talking about something that is very near and dear to my heart, something that I feel like everybody at some point in their life is going to be pushed up against this thing, and it's going to be something that we all have to overcome. I think it's just part of mortality, and I also think that it's something that we get to overcome in layers. So we'll get to one point, we're feeling good, and then there'll be a whole new layer that we need to overcome and reconnect to. So I'm going to be talking about the 3 key ways to overcome the fear of not being enough. Does that resonate with anyone at all? Because it definitely resonates with me. Like, I know that is something that I have struggled with my entire life. And like I said, I think it's just part of mortality. Like, I think that is just something that we as humans need to be pushed up against and need to overcome. And I actually think that there's a reason for that. I think that, for one, just being mortal, as we know from the fall with Adam and Eve, because we fell out of the presence of God, we had a veil put over our eyes. And so we don't remember the incredible, magnificent, wonderful people or beings that we were before we came here. We have these human bodies that have frailties that have things that go wrong with them. We have insecurities that come up. We have just these different things that we in this mortal realm have to deal with. We have to live with these imperfect, incredible, like, we love our bodies, these incredible bodies that house our spirit, but they are imperfect. And then we have the veil that is over our mind. And so we don't remember the connection that we had with our heavenly parents. We don't remember the connection and the knowledge that we had before we came to earth. And so we're going to deal with these things of feeling like maybe that we're not enough. And then to throw on top of mortality, of course, we have the opposition. The opposition is constantly trying to actively keep us from remembering who we are, from remembering that we are gods in and of ourselves. We have all of the capabilities that our heavenly parents have because we are their children. And so as we're going through this mortal life, we're going to be pushed up against times when we feel like we're not enough, where we feel the fear of can I do this? Or if I do this thing, what are the repercussions going to be? Am I going to be ostracized? Am I going to be mocked? Am I going to be, whatever it is, we're afraid of these things. And like I said, I think that is just going to be part of our growth. We have to be pushed up against those pain points because that gives us the opportunity to either sink and succumb to those limiting beliefs, or to look at them and think, is this something that I want to keep? Is this something that I want to continue to believe? And if it's not something that I want to keep, if it's not something that I want to continue to believe, then what is the belief that I want to have? What is it, or who am I wanting to become on the other side of this, on the other side of the fear, of the doubt? So we get stronger as we're pushed up against these pain points. Every single time when we make that choice to be somebody different, to take a different belief, to choose a different path, we are learning that we are not victims of our circumstance. We're not victims of what our brain tells us. We get to choose. We are in control. And so, as uncomfortable as it is, and as much as I wish I could get to that point where I'm like, okay, I have this fear of not being enough. And then all of a sudden you're on the other side of it and you're scot-free. It's fine. You're never going to be pushed up against that again. It doesn't work that way. It's a continuous learning and it's a continuous growing cycle that we get to be on. And like I said, that can be frustrating, but also at the same time, I think it's so wonderful because again, you continuously have that choice. Like you're not stuck in the reality that you're living all the time. Like you can be living in a certain reality and then wake up one morning and decide, this doesn't work for me anymore. I don't want to continue to live in this limited perception of my reality. I want to broaden my horizons. I want to broaden my mind. I want to change the way that I am believing, and I want to change who I am and become a different person. So I'm going to give you 3 key points today on how to do that. And I'm sure that there are many, many points, but I'm just going to be focusing on these 3 because I feel like, for me at least, these were kind of the building blocks. These are kind of the first things that I did as I was hitting up against these limiting beliefs and trying to decide, do I want to stay in this place? Like this is who I have been for so long. This is the life that I have lived for so long. Is this where I want to stay? Do I want to stay in this, or am I ready to completely change who I am and the way that I see myself, the relationship that I have with my heavenly parents? Like, do I want to stay here? And so as I started to really look at that and look at the reality that I was living and realizing I don't want, like, this reality wasn't really working for me, and I wanted to change it. And of course, when you're wanting to change something, the minute that you have that feeling, I want to change, I want to grow, I want to do better, you are going to be bombarded with all of the fear and all of the doubt that the adversary can throw at you, and also that your human mortal mind can throw at you. So our minds are wonderful, and I love them so much, and they do the best that they can to help us to survive and to be protected. But our minds only understand what they have experienced. And so when you're wanting to break out of the reality that you're living right now, your mind is going to fight you because it doesn't know if you will survive the new reality. It knows what it's like to be in this reality, even though it's miserable, even though you don't like the way that people treat you, even though you don't like the way that you feel about yourself, even though you don't like the way that things are going right now. Your mind knows that you're alive and that you're not going to die from it. It doesn't know if you're going to survive leaving a toxic relationship. It doesn't know if you're going to survive changing the way you see yourself. And so it's going to give you lots of reasons why you shouldn't change. And this is where you kind of get to have I'm not going to call it a power struggle, but an opportunity for it to be like, for you to really, your spirit to tell your mind, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Calm down. And you have to actively do this until you can train your mind to trust your feelings, to trust what you feel is right for you. So this is what happened to me when I was pushing up against, is this where I want to stay? And I had so many doubts and so many fears come in. Not only was the adversary actively trying to make it harder for me, but my mind was also pushing up against, well, what about this? And what about this? And you don't know how to do this. And you don't know what's going to happen here. And like so many things. It was really overwhelming. But I did these 3 things and they changed everything. I was able to quiet my mind. I was able to go into my body, into my spirit, and really feel what it is I needed to feel. And I learned to trust myself. I learned how to really embrace the feminine energy that was within me and let that part lead my mind. Our mind is so, I'm going to say analytical. It's just, it's so, what's the word? Evidence-based. Your mind is so evidence-based, and you can't always live your life on evidence. Sometimes you feel like you need to do something, even though there's no logical reason that you should, but you feel like you should. And when you trust your feelings over all of the reasons why you shouldn't in your mind, that's when life opens up for you. That's your intuition. That is you really connecting with your intuition and saying, I feel like I need to do this. Mind, I know that you don't understand, and I know that this is scary, but it's okay. We're going to be okay. We're going to trust how we feel. Okay, so let's get into these 3 key points. The first one is building a personal relationship with your heavenly parents. This right here, for me, I will always, whenever I'm teaching, whenever I'm working with clients, this is the first thing that I work with them on, because I feel like it is the most important. We are extensions of our heavenly parents, just like we are extensions of our earthly parents. We must have a connection with where we came from. Even if you don't have a good relationship with your earthly parents, you still know what it's like, and you still yearn to belong to somebody or something. Like, even if you don't have a good relationship with them, and it's heartbreaking and it's very confusing, but you know that you want to belong. You want to know that you're loved and that you're cherished and that you're looked after. So the most important thing is to go back to our earthly parents, to say, or to our heavenly parents, and to really build that relationship with them. Because when we know that we belong to somebody and that we are loved by somebody like our heavenly parents who love us so completely, it changes something in our mind, and it changes the way we show up in this world. I can't really explain it. I think it is a deep spiritual need that we have. Like, not only do we physically want to know that we belong, but it is part of our spiritual makeup. Like, we need to know that we belong. And going back to what I was saying before, when we came to this earth, we were veiled. We don't remember what it was like there, but there is a part of us that does remember. Even if, like, we can't remember, like, mentally, like, really, I don't remember what they look like. I don't remember the relationship that we had, but I know that I had a relationship. I know that there was something there. And so when you can really connect back to your heavenly parents, you know that you belong, you know that you are loved, you know that your worth and your value is not something that's based on whether or not you got dinner ready, whether or not your house is clean, whether or not you drive a certain kind of vehicle. Like, your value, your worth has nothing to do with what you look like, how you act, or how you show up in this world. Your value comes simply by being a child of your heavenly parents. And they see that as so valuable. They love you no matter what. And so when you can connect to that, and when you can really understand it and feel it, I know that growing up, I was taught that I was a daughter of my heavenly parents. I was taught that. And I knew it in my head, like, theoretically. But it wasn't until I started to do this practice where I actively worked on remembering and reconnecting to that relationship that things changed. It was like a switch in my mind. I used to have chronic people pleaser syndrome. I it would make me so physically sick trying so hard to please and to do things for other people. I would like plan ahead trying to make sure that I was doing everything right so that this person would be happy with me, or so that this group of people would be happy with me, or so that I would be seen as somebody who was on top of it, or whatever it was. Like, I remember just the anxiety and the fear of not doing it right, or the absolute shame and heartbreak that would come when it was proven that I didn't do it right, even though I was trying so hard. I was doing everything that I possibly could to do it, quote unquote, right. And it was still just not quite enough. And I remember how hard and how scary that was. But then I did this. And so what I did is I would spend 20 minutes every single morning or day. It doesn't have to be morning. Every single day, I would spend 20 minutes reconnecting or remembering who I was to my heavenly parents. Sorry, I'm going to move this really quick. The sun's getting in my eyes. So I would find a quiet place, and about 20 minutes every single day, I would just quiet my mind, and I would not let my mind think. This is the trickiest part, because your mind is going to want to think, and it's going to want to give you all these reasons that you need to get up and do something. You got dishes to do, laundry to do, kids need this person needs this. What if somebody comes home and sees me sitting here and they think I'm lazy? Like, whatever it is, your mind is going to give you so many reasons to get up and to go be busy. And so probably the first week was really just telling my mind, it's okay. It's okay. We're safe. We're safe. We're just going to feel. We're just going to think. It's okay. It's okay. And once I got to that point where I could quiet my mind, then I would go into my body, and I would just, I like usually my chest area, I would kind of sink into that part of my body, and I would just ask, please show me, help me to feel what it was like to be with my heavenly parents. And I would just sit. And in this way, sometimes I would let my mind go as far as like it would show me pictures, like I could like visualize certain things, but I wouldn't let my mind think. This was kind of a body over mind, if you want to say, like my feelings over what my mind wanted to do. I had to turn my mind off so that I could sink into my feelings and really feel. It was really a cool experience. And so I would do this continuously for like, I don't know, it was about a month or so, until I know that I was seeing incremental changes, but there was one instance where I sat back and just realized, oh my gosh, I completely have stopped this crippling fear of needing to people please, because something happened where I was not performing the way that somebody wanted me to, and they were extremely angry with me. They were calling me names. They were accusing me of things that were not true. They were getting very verbally aggressive and very, very angry towards me. And I did not feel any of that heart-pounding, absolute crippling fear that I typically would feel. I just sat there and I watched them, and I remember thinking to myself, this is the person that I've been so afraid of? This is the person that I was letting control my life? I was like, no. I know that I'm not doing anything wrong by saying no to this thing that I don't want to do or don't want to participate in. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not physically hurting anybody by doing it. I'm not even mentally or emotionally hurting anybody by not doing it. Like, I just feel like this is something I shouldn't do. And so by connecting to my heavenly parents in that way, I learned how much they loved me. And when I learned how much they loved me, I gave myself power to make choices that were best for me, not what I thought the other person was going to want me to do. Because honestly, if you're in people pleasing, you know what I'm talking about. Even if you're not, like, you know that it doesn't matter how much you try to do something to make somebody else happy, there's always going to be something that you did wrong. Maybe you did 99 things right, but there's going to be one thing that you did wrong. And somehow that's the thing that they pick up on. That's the thing that you get accused for. And so when you're living in this fear of not being enough, you're constantly asking somebody else to tell you that you're enough. And they can't do that for you. Like, some people will use it as a weapon and they will refuse to tell you that you're enough. And some people, like, it's just not their job. And so even if it's not a malicious intent, it's going to come out that you didn't reach or you didn't meet all of their expectations. But when you know that you're enough and you know that you're loved and that you're valued and you have that relationship, your spirit starts to remember what it was like to be in God's presence. Then when things don't turn out the way that somebody else wanted them to, like if you don't show up the way that somebody else wanted you to, it doesn't hurt. Because one, you can say, oh, well, you know, either I did my best and that's enough, or it's not my job to make you happy. Like, you learn to be able to express that, whether you say that or you just learn to like live with that. It's not my job to make you happy. You don't try to hurt them, but you're also not hurting yourself trying to do the impossible of making somebody else happy, because it's not your job. So the first key point is to build the relationship with your heavenly parents. Not in your mind, not just saying the happy, nice, lovely things of I am a daughter of heavenly parents. Like, yes, that's beautiful. And I definitely have that on my girls' walls because I want them to see that. But go deeper. Let your spirit remember what it was like. Because there is so much power that comes from remembering who your heavenly parents are. Remembering that their work and their glory is us. We are their most precious gifts, their most precious treasures. If you're struggling with this, if you're wondering, if you're needing evidence, go into the scriptures. You will find evidence. This year, we are studying the Old Testament, which I'm very, very excited about. And one of the key phrases that I note, I didn't note, I've always seen it, but I had a different feeling when I read it. So it is when God is talking and he says, you know, I am the God of Abraham, I'm the God of Isaac, I'm the God of Jacob. What does that mean? He's asking the people to remember, like, look back. I'm not just a God in heaven, but I am a God that's in the trenches with my people. Like with Abraham, I was there. I helped him. He got the blessings that were promised him. Look back, see the evidence. And with Jacob, I'm the God of Jacob. I was there with Jacob. I helped Jacob. Look at all of the things that happened in Jacob's story. I was there. I always came through in my promises, always. And then the God of Isaac, all of them, you look at the stories. Then in the middle of it, Abraham was probably wondering, what is going on? When are these blessings going to come? But his posterity could look back at that story and say, he was there. He was always there. God was always there. And so I love that when he says that I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that it was there in the trenches with him and he always followed through. So if he follows through with them, then he will follow through with you. He's there with you in the trenches. He knows everything that you're going through, everything that you're going to go through. He knows everything that you're feeling. And all he wants you to do is have a relationship with him. Because he doesn't just want to be Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's God. He wants to be your God. And so that is one of the most important things to recognize. He's not an ancient God. Yes, he's ancient. And yes, he's been there since the beginning of time. But look, he's still here. He's still going through it with everybody. All of our personal journeys, he's there with us through it all. We need to build that relationship with him, because if we don't, we are just going to be thrown around in the storm. we'll have nothing to anchor to. But when you have that relationship with your heavenly parents, you do not doubt who you are, and you don't let other people tell you who you are. You stay connected to yourself, to your identity. And it is one of the most important things that you can do. The next key point to getting rid of the fear of not being enough is to build a relationship with yourself. This, I think, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I think that this has to come after building a relationship with your heavenly parents. Because if you have been relying and expecting other people to give you your value, to tell you that you're valuable, to tell you that you're loved, to tell you that you're enough, what that is signaling is that you don't think that you're enough. But when you can connect with God, and when you can let Him and our Heavenly Mother tell you and remind you and really soak in those feelings of remembering what it was like to be with them, then you start to know that you're enough. Then you can start to build that personal relationship with yourself, because you know that you're so loved and you know that you're so valued. How often do we make a mistake and then immediately berate ourselves for it? Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. It was so stupid. You know that you're not supposed to do this. You knew that. What on earth is wrong with you? Why would you do that? And you're just verbally abusing yourself or mentally abusing yourself, and you're telling yourself all of these things, and how cruel are we to ourselves? If you were to say the things that you say to yourself to a friend, would they still be friends with you? Or even an acquaintance or somebody on the street? What would their opinion be of you if you were to talk to them the way that you talk to yourself? The words that we say to ourselves is so important. Because we're feeding our mind, we're feeding our spirit with what we think about ourselves. So reconnect with your heavenly parents so that you can know that you're loved and valued. When you know that you are loved and valued by God, why on earth would you not love and value yourself? You are a mere mortal. And if the God of everything can love you so much, why can you not see your own value? Why can you not see how special you as you are? So think of it as you're like talking to one of your children. And hopefully there's correction there. You can definitely be like, oh, I think we could do better next time. Remember, we learned this last time. We learned that we weren't supposed to do this. Let's try a little bit harder next time. Or what can I do to make this easier for you? What can I do to help you not make this mistake over and over again? Could we also talk to ourselves that way? Maybe that will really help, because again, what we're doing when we're reconnecting with ourselves, when we're reconnecting with our heavenly parents, what we're doing is we're pulling all of our power back to ourselves. It is not Joe down the road's job to make you feel special or seen or valued. It is nobody's job. And if it's nobody's job here on this mortal plane that we're living on, then it must be our job. It's our job to remember that we are spirit children of our heavenly parents. It is our job to remember that we are mortal beings living in this mortal world, doing the best that we can. And we can give ourselves some grace. We can give ourselves some credit. Because this is not easy. It is not easy to be a human. It is not easy to have the life experiences that we're having. But that doesn't mean we need to make it harder by kicking ourselves when we're down. Like, maybe we could just be nice. Maybe we could just be nice to ourselves. So you can make that decision to say, I'm going to change the narrative that I'm using when I speak to myself. I'm going to change the way that I talk to myself. I'm going to ask myself, what can I do to make this easier? And the coolest thing is, you guys, we can answer. We can answer ourselves. And if you want a true answer, your mind is going to run, and sometimes it's going to not give you the best answers. The best answers that are always right and are always spot on and are always exactly what we need are the answers that we get when we are connected to our intuition. And that is sinking into our body. How do we feel? What do I feel like I need to do? What do I feel would help me in this situation? Turn your mind off, stop the chatter up there, because what it is it's probably more negative than positive. It's probably going to give you all the problems instead of the answers. The answers come from feeling. It's when we can connect to our heavenly parents, when we are connected to our own spirit. Our spirits are wise. Our spirits know so much. But we have this block between our spirit and our mortal body. And we have to learn how to kind of breach them so that our spirit can speak to us. And that is our intuition. That is where we can connect and get the answers that we need. So the first key point is to reconnect with our heavenly parents and remember what it's like to be absolutely adored and treasured by them. And the next is to have a better relationship with ourselves, to build the relationship that we need and that we want with ourselves through our intuition and changing that narrative that's in our mind. All right, the last key point. The last key point is to remove things, whether that's people, situations, environments, whatever it is. Remove anything out of our life that is toxic or that is not helping us stay connected to our true selves. And sometimes that can be relationships, and that can be really scary, and that can be really hard, especially if it's either a long-term relationship or if it's family members. It can be really, really hard, and it can be really painful. And this is where I need you guys to not just make a rash decision. It can't just be like, oh, you made me mad, therefore you're toxic, no more boundaries, we're not talking to you anymore. This needs to be something that you feel is right. And you don't, well, I'm not going to say you don't know if it's not right if you haven't done the other two steps, but it's so much easier to see so much clearer once you're connected to your heavenly parents. When you're connected to yourself, it's like you're able to look through a clean window. Whereas before the window was dirty and you were like, well, maybe this is just normal, or maybe this is okay, or maybe this is just the way everybody is. Everybody talks to their spouse this way, or everybody, talks to their children this way, or that's just how friends are. Girlfriends, or whatever relationships, they're just like this. But when you really clean yourself up and when you really connect to your higher self, and when you remember how much you are loved and worthy and valuable, then you look through, it's like the window has been cleaned and you're like, this isn't right. It's not right for me to be treated this way. It's not right for you to say the things that you say to me. It's not right for you to manipulate in this way. Or like the list starts going on and you start to see things so much clearer. And you start to just know that you deserve to be treated well. Because you know that your worth is there. You know that your value is there. And so letting go of those things that are trying to pull you away from connecting to your heavenly parents or connecting to yourself, those things that are damaging to you, sometimes it is necessary for you to say, I'm done, and be done, and to walk away. Now, boundaries, because this is basically what boundaries are, is when you realize that something is hurting you, and instead of you continue to allow something to hurt you, you say, no, you're not allowed to hurt me like that anymore. You're not allowed to say those things to me anymore. You're not allowed to treat me that way anymore. And this is not you trying to punish the other person. This is not you trying to control the way that they act, because honestly, they're more than welcome to continue to be cruel to you. That's their right. You can't control whether or not they're going to be mean, whether or not they're going to say mean things to you, whether or not they're going to try to manipulate you. But what you can do is you can say, I'm not available for that anymore. Whether that means you're leaving a relationship and you're no longer giving access to yourself to that person, or if that means, blocking somebody on your phone, if that means moving away, if that means whatever that means, it's to protect you, because you are so loved and you are so valued and you are so worthy that you deserve to be in relationships where you are loved unconditionally, where you are seen as valuable. And when you stay with someone who continues to hurt you or continues to abuse you, it starts to just wear on you. You know what that's like. It wears on you. And no matter how much you're connected to your heavenly parents, no matter how much you're connected to yourself, if you are staying in these toxic relationships and allowing yourself to be abused and treated in this way, it inevitably starts to put up a wall. You cannot know your worth and your value. You cannot have a good relationship with yourself and still let yourself be abused or be mistreated or be manipulated. It doesn't work that way. You cannot, that just doesn't work together. Because when you start to see your value, you just naturally start to say, that doesn't work for me anymore. We're not going to do that anymore. Because you are not, you're not worthless. You're not unworthy of love, and you know that. And so that last part, the first two, is that remembering and that recognizing and that reconnection. The last one is the action step that is actually going to seal it in that letting go is okay, that it's safe, that you are enough, and you stop fearing not being enough. When you have the self worth, when you know the knowledge, when you know that you're worth more, you just naturally walk away. And also sometimes it's kind of nice because when you really connect to that part of yourself, sometimes the other person, they are the ones that choose to walk away because you are not playing their game anymore. They're not getting what they want from you, and so sometimes they will walk away. If they don't walk away, you have to take that upon yourself to walk away. Because the truth is, you're not playing their game anymore. You're not willing to do that anymore. Either they will grow and they will decide, I don't like the way that I've been. I want to be better, and they want to do better, and they will grow with you. Or they will decide, this isn't fun anymore. I don't like this. You've turned into a whole different person, and they will blame till kingdom come you for the problem. All right? So I just want you to know, be prepared that when you remember your worth, when you stop allowing the abuse and the manipulation, you will be the bad guy. Just be ready for that. But again, you're breaking out of fear of not being enough. You're breaking out of this people pleaser. So that's okay. This is just you practicing what you're learning, that it's okay. And the coolest thing is, like I said, I was telling the story at the beginning, that I had a moment where crap hit the fan, basically. And something that would have sent me into a spiral and absolutely devastated me, the things that was happening, the things that they were saying, and the way that it was all going about, had the potential to just devastate me. But it didn't hurt. I sat there and I thought, I have been so afraid of this. I was shocked. And that gave me so much power. And it made it so clear that we are not aligned. This is not working. And this will never work because I will never go back to that person. So either you step up with me or we have to be done because this is not working. And it all played out exactly the way that it should. So the 3 key points to letting go of the fear of not being enough and letting go of the people-pleasing pandemic is connecting and remembering your worth with your heavenly parents. Building a relationship with yourself. Be nice, for goodness sake. Please change the narrative that you're using when you talk to yourself. You are not dumb. You are not stupid. It's okay to make mistakes. We are human, and that's all right. All right? You are an incredible, incredible, wonderful human being. And what a gift to be a human being. It is such a gift. So stop talking to yourself like you are just the scum of the earth. Because you're not. You're wonderful. Change that narrative. Build that relationship with yourself. Learn to trust yourself. Learn to trust that you're going to have your back. You can make a mistake and you can still be loved and you can still be valued. That's what you want your partner, your parents, your friends to know, right? Or to think about you. That, yeah, you made a mistake, or, oh, you're late, but that doesn't mean we don't love you. That's exactly what you do for yourself. You can make a mistake and say, hey, it's fine. I love you. It's fine. We got this. Sometimes we just have human moments. We just do human things. It's okay. We're fine. Pick yourself up and keep going. And then the last is the action step of actually removing yourself. Because you cannot allow yourself to be in those horrible situations when you know that you're valuable, when you know that you're worthy of being loved and you're worthy of being treated well. So those are the key points. I hope that this has been helpful for you. I know that this is something that I get to do continuously. Continuously, you guys. This is not a one and done thing. So know that continue to stay connected. Continue to work on that relationship with yourself and continue to, anytime you're up against anything that is toxic or not helping you to become the person that you want to be, that means you need to cut it out. It means that it's not for you, and that's okay. Because as soon as you let go of something that is not aligned with you, that is not for you, the thing that is for you, the relationships, the experiences, everything is going to be coming in and it's going to be exactly the way that it should be. I love you, and I will talk to you next week.